No, I heard there was dancing. I heard there was good dancing. Okay, we'll find later. So, I wrote The Life and Lives of Albus, Percival, Wulfric, Dumbledore. It's my first ever published book. I've been writing essays about Harry Potter forever. I wrote a few in like 2006, 2007, and then I became MuggleNet's regular columnist over at the Three Broomsticks in 2011. So growing up, like other kids wanted to be, I don't know, Michael Jordan or Britney Spears. I wanted to be Brandon Ford, Daniela Teo, Lady Lupin, the columnists at MuggleNet. Like they were my heroes growing up. And so once I got my MuggleNet column, I sort of wrote about whatever I wanted. They gave me a pretty free rein. And I just sort of kept coming back to Dumbledore. First I wrote about him in the 5th year trying to get the prophecy, then the 6th year and what he knew about Horcruxes when, and then sort of one fine day I turned around and I'm like, I've written 20,000 words about Dumbledore. It's a lot. So I decided to make it a book, and now it's a book. Thank you all so much for coming. I know I'm not as interesting as our enigmatic headmaster, but any questions for me you have? Fire away. I knew I wasn't going to speak.
No, I have a question.
Yes.
Have you any inkling of what you perhaps might write in the future about whom?
Well, I have so many inklings, I don't know where to start. I mean, I do want to get into, writing fiction, YA and all that. I've been working on a YA novel for like ever, I think since high school. But lately I have become intrigued by the Malfoy clan. Yeah, sort of it began as an essay, as these things always do. Then it became a series of essays, and then I had 12,000 words, and I'm like, oh dear. So I don't know yet. I don't think I can ever be one of the authors who, churns out a book or two a year, but I will keep you all posted. Yes?
While doing your research for the book, how do you manage your feelings regarding I know everything that you put in the book is just looking at we have books. How do you manage to just separate what you want to believe or what you feel about the character and what it says in the books?
Well, in a lot of ways, writing this book was sort of me trying to sort my feelings out and sort of yanking you all along for the ride. I originally began writing about Dumbledore because, I grew up idolizing him, of course I did, and Half-Blood Prince is the first time I've ever cried reading a book. I lost it when Dumbledore died. And then I read Deathly Hallows, as we all did, and I'm like, wait, what? Everything was awful, and so I reread the series every summer, and sort of every time I reread it, I get suckered into loving Dumbledore, and cry when he died, and then I'd end up furious with him reading Deathly Hallows. So I just sort of tried puzzling out what was going on so I could figure out how I feel about him. So writing the book, it was sort of a different tack because the way it's laid out is I tried to lay all the facts before the reader first. I'm just like, this is what I think happened, this is what he knew when he knew it, how it all went horribly wrong. And then at the end, I make my judgment call on Dumbledore and invite the reader to do the same. And frankly, I would love to hear from each and every single one of you what you all think. This book is never meant to be a monologue, it's supposed to be a dialogue with the fandom. I built it on years and years and years and years of other writing by other people in the fandom. If you actually look at the back of the book, one of the parts I'm most excited about is a bibliography of all the essays I have read over the years that I think might interest you. So yes, I encourage you to read this. I then encourage you to go forth and read some more, read other books about other Harry Potter characters, like, say, Snape: A Definitive Reading by Laurie Kim, over there. And make up your own minds and get back to me. And who knows, if you have a good argument, maybe it'll make it into the 2nd edition. Because every single time I have presented about Dumbledore, which I've done a lot at this point. I do it at convention after convention. Someone's always like, well, what about it? I'm like, oh. So I look forward to many, many more of those.
How long did it take, because as you said, you've been changing your arguments with each convention and,
Yeah.
and adding to it. So when you looked at your whole body of work to put it into a book, how long did it take you to iron out those contradictions or get the clear
it was
kind
sort of
line?
a solid month of full-time writing. So basically, I got my first full-time job in 2016, and it did not work out. So I got fired, and I was like, well, I could study for my CPA exam and like be a responsible adult and everything, or I could write a book. So I think we all know how that ended up. I did not have my CPA. And so like at first I was unemployed and I'm like, yeah, like let's catch up on all the TV and everything. And I'm like, let's write. So I pretty much wake up every morning and just sort of write for 8-9 hours, and sort of a month and a half of that. I thought it was going to be so easy. I was like, I mean, I have all the writing, so I just, put it in order, essay 1, 2, 3, 4, like, fill in the transitions, and boom, there's a book. Yeah, no. that was not what happened. Yeah.
What exactly interests you about the novels?
Okay, moving right along. I feel like what interests me is sort of how Draco gets a very raw end of the deal. I feel like everyone sort of expected Draco to have a big redemption arc in the last book, and it didn't happen, and a lot of people are disappointed about that, whereas a lot of people thought he'd go full Death Eater and are disappointed that didn't happen. A lot of people are disappointed he didn't make out with Harry, that's and so I was like, I actually think that what Joe did with Draco's character is great, because it's not in his character to sort of, become a white knight or a badass. It's in his character to, flee from the fight and just try to survive. And I just sort of set about trying to prove that, and then the text got away from me. And then on the flip side of that, there's Narcissa, who I think we can all agree is the biggest badass in the series. Yes? Yes. Yeah.
Okay, how did you go about to get your book published? And what was your exact reaction when you finally heard it was getting published?
My exact reaction is not appropriate for children. I think, my editor is here, so she can tell you how that reaction went. That's my editor, Chris. She's awesome. Paint a picture for you. It was at MystiCon 2017. I had a meeting with Story Spring Publishing with Annie and Chris. I went to the meeting dressed as the Ghost of the Bloody Baron, because, of course, nothing got on brand. And so we had the meeting, and they were like, we want to publish your book. And I'm like, yes, I want you to publish my book too. And so, 10 minutes after that, I was giving a presentation about Dumbledore. And so I, kept it together. I'm like, Dumbledore, Dumbledore. And then, and at the end, you can read it in a book! And so the way I went about this is, at a different convention, Leviosa 2016, Story Spring Publishing was launching Laurie's Snape book at the convention. And I saw it, and I'm like, if I did this for Dumbledore, could it be a book? They're like, maybe, send it to us. At which point I began working on it and sent it to them, and then there was a lot of months of being like, oh god, I hope they like it. Oh god, why hasn't anyone emailed? Oh my god, oh my god. But yeah, then it finally happened, and so it's been a year and 2 months since we agreed to publish it, and now it's a book. And guys, it all takes so much longer than you think. Publishing's a lot of hurry up and wait. And yeah, I thought I was prepared for just how much, and I was not.
Yeah. Surprising revelation that you found throughout the process, either about yourself in writing or about the character?
I mean, definitely about the character.
Or a contradiction of him that was unique?
Yeah. Well, sort of, the big emotional crux of this, spoiler alert, is the fact that for Dumbledore, one person was more important than everyone else. And sort of once I got there, I'm just like, how do I feel about this? I sort of didn't know how to feel about that. Because I identify as a Raven pup, so like half of me is like logic, like we think things through, we find the right answer, and then half of me just has a lot of feelings. And so I was sort of trying to reconcile the two. And I think I found that I'm a lot more forgiving of Machiavellian tendencies than most people. And that's where the Ravenclaw comes in, where I'm just like, but guys, like he did what he had to do, and they're like, but that was up. I'm like, well, yeah, but like, my perspective on Dumbledore is that he was caught between a rock and a hard place. He was the one person capable of taking down Voldemort, and he made a lot of very tough decisions to make that happen. And, I mean, in fairness, results speak for themselves. No Voldemort. Oh yeah, but Revelations was fun. I think one of my recollections that came very late in the game was just how awful Dumbledore is to Slytherins. But like, you sort of always knew that, but then when I sort of began looking at like that thread throughout the books, I'm just like, oh dear. And so I sent my publisher like 4,000 word thing in like around 5 minutes, being like, so I wrote this thing about how Dumbledore's off the Slytherins. Should we just like put it at the end as a bonus essay? And they're like, no, it's part of your book. You gotta like put it into the book. Damn it! That is now in the book. So yeah, that was interesting. And in some ways, I blame Laurie's book for that because I was reading it and taking notes, and I'm like, yeah, there's something there. Laurie.
Changing the subject. So I was wondering how you would categorize this book, and I'll explain what made me wonder that. Between your bibliography, where you put the highest authority in amateur fan publications, mostly on the internet,
Yeah.
and also your strategy of naming the Horcruxes by fanon names, did you say like you had some
We use Portman.
plural more and
Yeah.
you know the Harry Crux, and so it seemed to me like you're canonizing a specific genre
Yeah.
of authority that comes from fandom. How are you planning to square that with book selling and categories?
It's a good question. Before
I'm sorry.
breaking the book.
The only impression you have is, wow, they did that with bibliography. And then the Horcruxes. Was that intentional? Were
Yes.
you trying to foreground?
Yeah,
And
we had a lot of emails about just how much of that is appropriate.
A lot.
Yes. And so, well, the book is categorized as pop culture nonfiction, to answer that first question. But in terms of how we sell it, it is a book by a fan for fans. It is out of the fandom and for the fandom. I never, tried to be snooty about this. I never tried to be like, this is a real book, so we're serious now. This is very much meant to be a sort of continuation of the dialogue that is on the internet. I think it's an incredible dialogue because the Harry Potter fandom came of age with the internet. And I mean, the scholarship on these fan sites is amazing. I mean, Jo Rowling herself has given shout-outs to fan sites for their insightful editorials. And the reason we have that in the intro of, Harry Crux, Quirrell Mord, like here's the words we use, is any reader who picks it up and isn't familiar with the fandom, I want to bring them in. I think this book is one huge recruiting effort for the Harry Potter fandom. Yeah.
How would you personally feel being a student where Dumbledore is headmaster?
Oh no.
Well, if you're a Gryffindor, you're fine.
I mean, yeah. But if you want to get an education, like
one gets an
Dumbledore runs
education.
Hogwarts as like an asylum first, and like all of his staffing decisions are sort of based on Harry's emotional needs, and who needs refuge from Death Eaters, and who is valuable to the war effort. Like who can actually teach is like completely beside the point. And I know a lot of people say that Dumbledore's the best headmaster Hogwarts has ever known. And I mean, in fairness, we don't know what his predecessors were like. They have created a very low bar. And yeah, if you're not a Gryffindor, then it's just awful, because, like, yeah, Dumbledore hates Slytherins, and the Hufflepuffs, you know, get screwed over every time Harry goes on an adventure, and they get last place in the House Cup. We're not bitter or anything, it's fine.
Well, for you guys.
Okay, we'll get third eventually. One last question.
How do you feel about Jude Law's casting in the Fantastic Beasts franchise?
Would it kill him to put on robes? Before anything else happens, I just want to give a few shout-outs to amazing people. First to Deanna the Elder and Julie for singing. Julie was covering For the Greater Good by the Butterbeer Experience, who's amazing but has nodes. And my amazing dancers, Mary, Sheila, Angelica, and Ignacio. In the olden days, I ran a wizard dance troupe called the Dancing Death Eaters, and that is one of our numbers. And also, one of my dancers, Sheila, is the artist.
Oh.
And it is not the prettiest thing. So cool.
So if you need information on the business card, we'll be happy to
anyone here who isn't part of the group that shall not be named, we are the New York City Harry Potter meetup group. We are the largest group of Harry Potter fans in the world. I actually met the group here 10 years ago this December for a live Pottercast, and you know, sat down next to Mary, who started talking to me about the group, and then they invited me out for dinner, and the rest is history. And our organizer is John Rosenthal over there. Come talk to him about joining the group. I'm sure he has business cards. And it is also his birthday today. One, two, three. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you, Irvin. That was fabulous.